Okay, hi. I'm Ferial Afiff. Thank you, BODYSCAPE, for inviting me. Uh, an artist. I call myself a flexible artist living in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. And my work have no boundaries or specific styles. And artistically, I always like switches roles, like being a artist, curator, facilitator, or whatsoever. And then also since 2018, I organize a expedition camp in Tangerang, other city near Jakarta, with Putri and Rau Rau.
That's interesting. And also, can you talks about more about the body? You know, you are using body in the performance art. How you use the body in terms of the identity. You know, the politics of identity as a in terms of gender, in terms of caste, in terms of religion, or yeah, in other social issues.
It's more people are tend to more recognize my religion, for example. And then, but here, I mean, in Indonesia, it's the everyone. For example, everyone wear hijab, but everyone is, for example, drink alcohol, even though they wearing hijab. So I think for myself, it's we cannot because hijab becoming like a fashion, not only about the spiritual identity, but here, I mean, in Indonesia, because most of the people, especially in Java Island or Sumatra Island, is wearing hijab, but it's more about fashion. And then it's another, how to say, like a global capitalist shop. Like they have this new trend of hijab, they have this so more bigger and more darker, but it's the sense for me, it's more in the economical sense and more in the, yeah, it's not spiritual, although there is also another group is more spiritual and more fanatic. And then so it's very rich, I mean, for identity of the religion in Indonesia. Uh, since maybe last 3 years, it's like the fanatic Muslim is getting more and more. But in the art scene, I think there is no different. It's still the same. And it's not really into the gender, I think. I mean, however, in the maybe in the fanatic group, some of my female friends, they are more close. Like they don't want to go by themselves. They're not allowed the guests. If a male guest come to their house, they will not open the door if there's no husband in their house or there's no muhrim. But it's still compared to all of the citizens here, I feel like, especially in Java, the gender role is quite not a burden for the female. If they want to explore more things, if they want to go everywhere alone, and then, for example, I did like just last year, I did a journey from Aceh to Jambi in Sumatra in the east coast alone, and everybody is like support me, and they are not like make the differentiation because I'm a female, for example. So, but I didn't say there is no problem. There are a lot of problem. I mean, it's also connected with the religion, like some say Islam especially, like of in the Islamic culture, Sharia, in the Islamic law, female are not allowed to do this and that. But then it's also like a double issues because in the culture they also say like Indonesian culture or East people, like we are the East people, we are not like the female is not as free as it is. But since my research in Sumatra is also researching about how the female role in the past, it's in the history, it's not proven like a lot of female are very active and like have their own role, not only being a hero, but also a lot of other roles.
Yes.
So yeah.
So you talked about that conflict. It is a one kind of contextual conflict. Are you using consciously that identity of that religion or hijab or you are consciously using in your performance that identical body or identical religion? Yeah, in general.
Yeah, I use it. So since I wear it like 2016, I never open it, even through performance or yeah. But some other artists, they sometimes they wear the hijab only in the daily life, but then when they perform, like a dancer, I know one a dancer that she opened the hijab when she performed. So for me, there's no different from the inside, but I feel there is a different from the outside. Like more question, if I talk about the diversity of the believer, for example, and then they will ask me like, yeah, but now you wear hijab, like I take a side. So they judge me that I take a side, even though for me the spirituality is more private and personal, and every believer is like good. I mean, whatever they believe is, I think it's good. So yeah, it's a weird thing for me from other people's side, but not from my inside. I feel no different.
Okay, can we talk about the material in the performance art, like how you select the material, what kind of material you are using, what is the importance using material or using props in performance art?
Depends on the context. So the material is very important, like the piece of work doksa. The doksa piece is like I grinding the terracotta pot, some with the Buddhist face, and some is just other decorative stuff in the terracotta piece. So because the performance context is about the research on how the terracotta scattered in the Sumatra area, so like they don't respect the history, I feel, or the attention is not in the historical side, and I feel all the ceramic, all the terracotta that's scattered on the ground is important to identify something, but then until today it's not finished yet. So for that piece of the performance, because of that context, the material is important. So the rest is not really important, like whatever shirt I wear or wherever is it on the stage, is it outdoor, is it everywhere, but the most important is the material. So yeah, it's always about the context, the space and the site. And who's the audience?
Yeah. So you talked about audience right now. So So in your context in Indonesia, how the audience perceive performance art from their experience, from their perspective? Can you talk about your audience or expectation, or their observation, how you see audience in the context of Indonesia?
It's the audience is different in art scene and in the public area, for example. In the public area also depends on which province. Like, for example, in Yogyakarta, because there is like a lot of art student, a lot of artists, and the art practice been happening like maybe more than 30 years. So if you go to the traditional market or you go to any street, and then most of the people will know that instead of you, oh, this is crazy guy who did something on the street. It's they can guess like, oh, I think this is something like this is art. And then they will also ask, like, if you come and then you do the observation, you bring a big camera or whatever, they already like can guess, like, oh, you do a research, are you an artist or are you a researcher? You know, like that situation in Jogja is more like that, like more easier to enter many places because then you're not exploiting them, exploiting the public. So because they have this consideration of who we are and who they are, and but in other places in Indonesia, it's not so common. But people will not attack you. Think that you are crazy people who do something on the street, for example. So, but some have like on the first expedition camp, for example, uh, they watch and then they're guessing because one of the performance is in the temple, and then next to the villagers. So all the village next to the village. So all the villagers are watching us and got awkward, but then start to engage, and then they start to like ask question like what we are doing, and then after that like hoping that we will coming back. So I feel basically everywhere here people are very open on something new. So it's a different situation with what I saw on the news, for example. So yeah, to perform, I think to perform everywhere on the public area is more freedom here. Like we don't have to ask for permission if it's less than 500 people. And then we don't need to ask for permission if it's not like cutting the street or cutting the, how to say, like the car or the motorcycle or stopping the business area.
Mostly disturbing the public spaces. If
Yes.
Performance is not disturbing the public spaces, then it can allow to do performances. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have to do any permission. We just did it because the rule from the country, they don't have that rule yet, not yet.
That's interesting. So can you talk, you did a curation in about in the performance art field, you did curation in expedition camp, and you did curation, I remember, in 2016 in Kipaf as well. So how did you see curation in performance art as a curator observation,
So the curation, sometimes it's important, sometimes it's not important, because during the Hmm, for example, if it's for Kipaf, I am more concerned about who is more fit to come to India, for example, to joining based on my experience from the Kipaf before. So if, for example, person A, it will be fulfilling, but if a person B, and then if he or she come, and then it will not give any advantage for them because it's not her or his style. But then if it's yeah, so uh, for different country, I feel to feel the style of the festival itself, and then the style of the person also. So I think the sense of the curation will be on that border. And then for the expedition camp, it's like because it's more about the discussion, more about the sharing, and more about listening instead of perform. So it's not like I provide a stage for all the artists come perform drunk and then go home. So it's more like more about sharing what they're doing. So the presentation is not about their work anymore, but it's more about themselves, about the self. So, and then also about the collaboration between the artists. So I feel the curation is important. If everybody come, and then it will be, we only have 24 hours per day and we also need to rest. So for me, it needs the curation because cannot everybody just join. About the time, about the limitation of time and the limitation of the space as well. And yeah, but some performance event like before expedition camp, me, Rau Rau, and Putri, we already like make a performance on the street because we questioning about what's happening with the public space. Because you know, I think the last few years the performance art is, you can sell the performance work. So in the commercial art world, the performance art is becoming another hype, another trend. Even though I don't know there, but like here in Indonesia, early 2000, the performance art is very popular, and then it's disappeared. But in the early 2000, it's more like separatist, like a lot of performance group in a different province, a lot of event in the different province, and a lot of performance on the street. But it also connected with the political situation because we have this reformation, like from New Order to Reformation era on 98. So before 98, most of the performance art mostly is about political issues. So in the early 2000, a lot of these political issues performed in the many different events. But then it's disappeared, it's quiet for a while. The event is more like only 2 events every year, so more quiet. And then end of 2010, it started to be commercial. Like all of a sudden, it's a trend in the gallery. So after this, I feel personally, and with few of friends here, we feel like we enjoy. I mean, it's okay to make this commercial work. I did also, but I mean, how about the performance on the public space? Yeah. How about in India? How is it? I mean, is it
Yeah,
difficult to perform in the public space? Is it?
it's depend because India is a big space, you know. So
Mm,
many different cities, many different agenda. If I talk about Kolkata, that Kolkata, that K-pop festival is happening because it's more free. You know, the publics are so interactive and so understandable. You know, they somehow understand because K-pop is doing like almost it started in 2013. So 13 to 2020, it's a 7 years running, and they choose different public spaces in Kolkata city. So it's like very like already many people know that, you know. And if I talk about Delhi, so somehow little bit difficult in public space, but we do many public spaces like, you know, many abandoned spaces, parks, do that. And I remember in my experience, I did a performance in Delhi metro train, and I caught by the authority, then I had to pay some fine. So this, yeah, so maybe the Delhi crowd, the crowd is something different to the Kolkata. And again, if I talk about Assam, you know, there are like, I did many performance in Assam, mostly in Guwahati, the capital of Assam. So like the first very huge and the performance in 2014, that was so much political performance. So I was arrested by the police, and I was 6 hours in the police station. So yeah, so it's like different city have the different agenda, the idea of public, you know, and the again the idea of public, and also the idea of, you know, their understanding how to digest, or how to, you know, recognize, or how to observe a performance. Maybe they are not aware of it. And if I talks about the Guwahati performance, that so yeah, have you seen the image? This
Yes.
this is the performance in Guwahati what I did. So it's after 1.5 hour the performance about to the idea, the plan, it's about to almost 2 hours or 3 hours in a same place. After 1.5 hour of the performance, and police came and take me. This is the image, police when taking me to their custody. So this is like, you know, you can see my body is covered with the newspaper, and there are some headlines, and those headlines is about, you know, those headlines are from 2008 to 2014. So I do research, kind of news came into the you know, news came to the public, you know, different incident, political incident, about bomb blast, about, you know, terror, those things I pasted on the body. So they the authority or the police or the government feel insecure, and they don't know who am I, why I am doing this. Those questions came into their mind. No? So who am I, why I am doing this, because I am not informing the authority, and that's again the statement and the intention of my practice. And there are some places like Bangalore, there are also some people you might remember, you know, some people maybe in the Kipaf. So yeah, they also doing it. Yeah, it's depend on space to space. You know, some audience who never encountered a performance art before, you know, how they observe it, or how the artist intention to addressing those audience. That also, yeah. So also, can you talks about the idea of method and improvisation?
So many different method in the performance art, right? Like that we can choose. Again, it's depends on the space and the context and the people who join. I mean, because for example, if I see my fellow artists like Ridwan Rau Rau, he believe on intuition, so more improvisation, but he's actually very observing the people, the situation he interact with. So the method for him, I think, is not really important. But for I got the panic before if I don't have the control of some performance what I want to do. Like I cannot just like come to some place and then I don't know what to do, I just come. But then after I met Rau Rau, I tried this method. So I challenged myself to more improvise. So Rau Rau teach me this. So when just more improve, more observing, more into the site, the space, and more into the people. And then, yeah, with Putri, then I learned how to dance. You can feel it, like the energy. So, yeah, back to the method in the performance art, I think it can be very wide, and again it depends on who the person will join it. Or maybe like I saw this there are some site like the 69 Performance Club in Indonesia. They have this performance yearly, like monthly, I think. Like they have this edition, but during this COVID, they make this performance in the Instagram because it's performed from their house. So I feel the frame, the digital frame, the photo performance and the video performance so far, it's mostly is photograph. This is interesting method to see. They use a photo, but not because of the need of the commercial scene, but it's more about the need of the recent situation. So I get bored because only one point of view. So the method is also important to find another point of view, even though photograph and video is not like a new material. So the question of the method of the performance art, I feel maybe we can observe many different methods from other from other discipline, maybe from the art discipline or non-art discipline.
How you see now the contemporary performance art in the global context?
I think globally it's more and more performance, contemporary performance art is happening, and more wider, like wider space, wider style, wider, like today we can learn from different approach. The balance is still there, like they who are more focused on the visual art, for the visual art gallery, for the gallery style is there, and then they who are more rebellious and just on the street and doing everywhere performance or festival is also still there. I think we need more Asian people to upload something in the internet. I mean, to share the information more, especially the Southeast Asia. I mean, I don't know what's happening in Cambodia, for example. How is the performance art happening there? And then uh, how is in Bhutan? You know, like for European, maybe Indian now, and then Japan, or but I don't know in Asia. I mean, what's happening in some part of Asia?
You know, there are lots of practice in India, but there are no writing, you know, there are no books, there are no magazines, you know, about. But there are lots of people who are practicing performance art in India. I have seen so far, you know, they are doing, you know, even I started running this Bodyscape, and I started writing my blog, own blog, where I put my works and I share those work with my visual art friend, non-visual art friend, you know, whom I that these are my works. Yeah, they are doing, but you know, somehow we have to compartmentalize, or you know, frame the all the performance art scene in Southeast Asia. Yeah, there are some works done by Samudra Kajal Saikia. You know, he did a archive material, Asia Art Archive. Yeah, thank you, Ferial, being with us in the Bodyscape.
Thank you, Anupam.
We will look forward in future collaboration with the Bodyscape. Yeah. So I think, thank you.